I think I teased you enough about my modification return journey, everyone. This huge hiatus has helped me figure out some serious problems that have been plaguing Battlefield 2's modding scene, and I think it's time to address them head on. We've gone from playing amazing projects like Omnicide and Point of Existence 2 to same regurgitated trash seen from 2014 with a different coat of paint. The copy-pasta craze has and is corroding the game, and this damage is simply unforgivable. Today I would like to discuss with you how asset flips are drowning out original mods, and break down why the plagiarized garbage is destroying the good vibes Battlefield 2 is giving. Hello everyone, Chris back again with you, Yin Gaming Zone. Let's get this straight before I start this serious deep dive. Battlefield 2 mods are awesome, and they are the sole reason the game is alive 20 years later since its launch. They are the evergreen that keeps the game's heart beating, atop of an already amazing game that does need some help from time to time under the form of HD upgrades. Without this community, Battlefield 2 would have been a footnote in franchise's history for a majority of players, and you can't underappreciate it in any circumstance. But unfortunately, the same community is the reason why I'm here making this video, as some members of it decided to follow the steps of making asset flips and actually striving to create unique content for the game. Aren't mods considered to be a new experience for the game? While I think it's an easy answer to this question, it's not really all that simple. Mods are indeed a new experience every time, but it's also about the effort put into them, along with the novelty of the things you are seeing. Take for example Point of Existence 2, an excellent example of taking the existing Battlefield 2 experience and giving it a completely fresh coat of paint. Completely new factions make an entry, custom vehicles and setting-specific maps were also created to give you an amazing dive within its lore. Everything has been customized within it, but it remains the same classic feel that Battlefield 2 gives you. Honestly, I'd call this a masterclass on how to make a mod for the game. Everything is handmade with passion from its developers, and you can clearly tell that. On the other side of the spectrum, however, you have the Super Ultimate mod. A made-up thing, of course, but will help me demonstrate the originality problem. Well, the Super Ultimate mod has every single custom map in existence within it. You name the mod and it has it. Over 300 maps, hell, you can even add more if you're that passionate. It has every weapon, gadget and feature from other projects as well. Doesn't really matter if it has usage permission or not. Now you fire up Super Ultimate mod to enjoy it, and it plays exactly the same, if not worse, when you are trying out the Point of Existence 2 content within it. You might have some other weapons, vehicles or gadgets to tinker with, but does it feel unique? Do you experience novelty playing Super Ultimate? I doubt so. This is exactly the problem that the copy-pasta mods are suffering from. You see it once, it's unique. You see it 50 times, it gets old and boring, and it makes you jaded. I can't deny some mods are improving upon the taken content, however. For example, Morose Rebalance does an excellent job, albeit it has content from Point of Existence 2. Yet, there is a difference. Super Ultimate couldn't bother improving, and simply included the content within it to give an impression it's a giant project, while Morose Rebalance took time to make the gameplay loop feel completely different to the original. The difference is clear here, do not misunderstand this. While I don't have an exact estimate from where the ground zero began for the copy-pasta invasion we are dealing with, I did notice them appear around the time Battlefield 3 was in its full prime. That's about 14 years ago as of making this video. And man, does that make me feel very antiquated. My first ever encounter with such content was Nations at War 7.0, which had no affiliation to Nations at War project entirely. Rather, it was somebody else taking their content and introducing Frostbite engine assets within the gameplay loop. The idea had novelty behind it. However, it wasn't ethical in the slightest. Not only it plagiarized the content of Nations at War, it also plagiarized content from Battlefield 3, later Battlefield 4 as well, to make this sad project happen. This case mostly resembles the Super Ultimate example mentioned previously, doesn't it? Sidetracking for a bit, only in 2025 I've actually found out that this mythical Nations at War 7.0 was none other than Armored Kill mod for Battlefield 2. And nightmarish concoction of assets from diverse original projects to create yet another ultimate-size project. Problem is though, nothing seen within it is original in the slightest. Zero novelty, just a random mix of mechanics. Nah bro, seriously, I'm just losing my sanity at this point. This mod has to be one of the worst things I've played in a long ass time. Back to the topic now. we've identified the appearance of these Frostbite copies starting around 2012. The said project eventually inspired the community to port said mechanics from Battlefield 3 and 4, which led to a cascade of copies containing Frostbite assets. Pandora's box was now open, and the dozens of asset flips now flooded the internet. We are coming back again to the novelty concept. First time it's unique and original, 50th time is the same old boring story. Quite an interesting thing about them, however, these mods play exactly the same with minimal differences in the mechanics. The big standouts usually were the cover arts the creators did for them, and maybe some lore written within. Sometimes they even fail the first step, usually using artwork from Battlefield 3 and 4 as well. This is where I've coined the word copypasta for them. As in my experience playing them, they generally felt the same every single time, but with a different flavor of bugs and problems. My breaking point became Medal of Freedom, an absolute pathetic joke of a mod that was barely functional to the point of even crashing my PC way back in the legacy era.
I don't know why, but this modification just hates it to be recorded. Also that epic moment.
A majority of mod creators, of course, were displeased with copypastas gaining traction. Same can be said about myself, as playing the same old tired trash is not fun the 70th time around. But unfortunately, instead of shunning these plagiarized mods, the community accepted these with open hands, allowing said Frostbite titles to become a norm for Battlefield 2 mods. And this ultimately led to the current state of affairs. The copypasta gets praise and is being defended by the community, while original mods are being taken advantage of and being copied and integrated within the same asset flips. A hellish circle of destruction if you ask me. I have a couple of examples which I'd like to discuss, and it's truly heartbreaking to see Originality destroyed by low-effort trash. How about a curious case of abandoning your legacy to create yet another asset flip and call it a Super Ultimate mod? This is the unfortunate case for Nations at War, and the remake that was the standalone version. It's quite ironic that this project followed up on the footsteps of the Faker, which was the mythical 7.0 version, trying to beat it out at its own game, only for both to fail spectacularly. While the standalone does indeed feature some cool and original ideas within its core if analyzed deeply, you can't ignore the obvious problem, which was a collapse from its own weight. Because of its giant size and containing an insane amount of content within, it became a serious challenge to make it work without issues. Point proven with my comeback streams and content, problems still persisting years later since the original review.
Of course.
Bugs are not the biggest issue, however. Nations at War copied so much content within itself, it lost its identity from the previous 6.0 iteration. The mod feeling like yet another asset flip instead of innovating on previous ideas, it resembling nothing of the original entry. I have a tragic story that is even sadder than previous entry, however. Nations at War turned into an asset flip on its own volition, but Conflict's story is absolutely brutal. This has to be my biggest regret ever with Battlefield 2 mods, as I failed to cover this amazing project, which now unfortunately does not exist anymore. You can of course play it as versions were salvaged by the users, but it's no understatement that Conflicts is no more. But what exactly finished off this project, you might ask? I think you already know the answer on this one with the topic of this video. Its contents were immediately plagiarized by Frostbite asset flips the moment a build was made public, and that was highlighted by the creators as well. The developers worked hard on making the project happen for years, and instead of gratitude, it was a "thanks for free content for my trash mod." Unfortunately, the development of Conflicts was seized as the morale evaporated due to such actions from the community, and the ModDB page has been obliterated afterwards. Only remaining content about it now is gameplays and salvage builds, nothing else. Copypastas are a plague and a hindrance. They destroy everything they touch, including original projects and ideas. To such points even, it made people quit from making modifications entirely. And Conflict's case, I believe, is just scratching the surface of it. These are the reasons I absolutely despise these asset flips, and why I've grown a hostile attitude towards them. Especially to modifications that contain Frostbite content, which are praised instead of being shunned. They are low-effort trash containing recycled content that gets praises, while actively hurting the creators of original content. Asset flips are bad, and instead of acknowledging this, the community still craves that Battlefield 4 feel when we could have had much more than that. Instead of conflicts being along with combat mod and dust, it's now just a forgotten footnote in history. That is not sad, that is depressing. It's easier to recycle the same UI, weapons and vehicles than putting your own effort into making something unique. And I bet you didn't even notice I was playing 3 different mods for the background footage. Now this part of the video is more personal to me, since it's about the reviews I've been doing for Battlefield 2 mods since late 2016. I've been known for making gameplays and reviews for a really long time, but 2025 was the year that truly broke me when it came to making such content. Behind the scenes I was dealing with a heavy burnout of these mods, as I was no longer enjoying original content, but instead dealing with asset flips almost constantly as requests, with breaths of fresh air like Combat Mod Remastered and Dust 3.1 sometimes helping out the situation. But Damocles clearly dealt a damaging blow to me, to the point where I questioned why I keep doing these. Not only my reviews have become harsher as I was stuck in this loop of playing trash, but I was also receiving pushback from the community for saying things as they were. What I was once enjoying was pushing me out, and it truly felt like a betrayal. If asking for original content is too much, things have truly reached the rock bottom. My reviews were created to rate great projects and punish garbage. This was and will always be true. While my 2016-2017 self was still new at this kind of things, now I can definitely see which projects are good and which are bad from my experience. I'm trying my best to give criticism and feedback without any bias, since just praising or insulting a project won't do any good for both parties, me and the developer. So what's the point of this video? The answer is really simple. You should give up on playing trash and give a chance to original modifications. I understand the appeal of Frostbite content very clearly, especially considering the state of Battlefield 3 and 4 at the moment. But the counter-argument for that is Frostbite games themselves already have modding support. Veins Unleashed is a perfect framework to elevate the Battlefield 3 experience, and Battlefield 4 sooner or later will receive the long-awaited Warsaw revamped framework as well. These games can be easily found on sale for a bargain, usually around $2 for a copy on Steam. Trust me, I spent more on my copy of Battlefield 2 Complete Collection way back in 2015. These prices are simply dirt cheap now. These asset flips lose their meaning once you experience the real deal, especially with mod support that improves the Frostbite engine. Mods that became legendary for Battlefield 2 were unique, like Omnicide, Apocalypse, AIX 2.0, Point of Existence 2, all of them having unique content. While Nations at War and Armored Kill are infamous for being a cheap knockoff to Battlefield 4. The difference is night and day here. Battlefield 2 shouldn't become a Battlefield 4 light, and must have its days of original projects back. After all, we enjoyed its mods for originality, not asset flips.
Is that a roar? Is that a goddamn roar? This is an explosive rifle? Oh, this is a gameplay of a lifetime.
Let's wrap it up at that, everyone. I hope you understand the position I am coming from after seeing the same old thing for nearly 10 years straight. Battlefield 2's asset flip epidemic is here to stay, unfortunately. Things can't be changed overnight with a single video. It's only up for you everyone to handpick the diamonds out of the ocean of sewage. And same is applied to me. I've been a victim of these Frostbite knockoffs, and they even made me go out on a big hiatus as the gameplays were simply miserable. With me also losing interest in making content with mods because I was being always negative. But in the end, it's my task to highlight the good and the bad in projects, even if it comes down with a big price to pay. I thankfully rekindled my passion for Battlefield 2 mods, and I have absolutely zero desire to invest my time seriously on low effort trash that I've been seeing since 2014. Hence why, going forward, I'll be only making fun of these asset flips with the Trash Play series, while keeping reviews where they are required the most. I wanted to have a more serious discussion video first before coming back to classic gameplays I've been doing on Gaming Zone since 2015. People always pick the easiest way out. I guess I chose a hard one, being extremely picky with the stuff I'm playing. Looking forward to finally meet some projects I've had in my back burner for some time, it will definitely be a blast. Thank you for watching this deep dive, everyone. If you enjoyed this content, don't forget to throw a thumbs up and also click the subscribe button so you can see more mod coverages in your subscription boxes. And I'm promising you now, I'm back to them, that is for sure. This was Chris, see you in the next one.